Greetings. This is going to be short. Another distraction away from all the other things that I distract myself away from. Go figure. So, I've mentioned before that there are plenty of novels that I have finished, and some of them are kind of self indulgent. A lot of them, there's one that's, a lot of it is just built on backstory and history. And the premise is there's an old man in a town that knows a very, very nasty secret among the people that run the town. It's not like a mafia thing, it's not like a crime family. It just, you know, people make mistakes or they make bad decisions or they do evil things, and it's not necessarily the scope of the evil thing or the magnitude of the evil thing, but it's that it becomes a secret. And the bigger evil deed is the actions taken to cover up that one sin, that one evil deed. And anyway, this old man, he knows all the secrets of all the people who run this town, the pillars of society, so to speak. But he is suffering from a terminal illness, and he will likely not survive to be able to have any way of making these people accountable. He's just an old man, and it's not likely that he's going to have any any authority as an old man if he managed to survive his illness. And he's terminal, so he's not going to survive. He's not going to survive his illness. So he concocts a plan, and the plan is very simple. During a winter storm, he walks out into the storm and passes on from exposure. And he understands that his demise will be so strange and questionable that people will start to ask questions. Well, how did this happen? Why would he wander off? He was of clear mind. Why would he do that? Why would he go crazy and walk off into the snow? Why would he die of exposure? And people who know this man, who knew this man, who understood who he was in the community, also would know that he knew all the deep, dark secrets. And they would start to think to themselves. And again, it's like the growing, evolving secrets that enshrine this one sin that was committed by the people who run the town. They become far worse than the original sin, and the how to go about saying this? It's it would be like turning a person who had certain events happen to them, build into them a habit of peeking out the window, so to speak. It's similar to the conspiracy theories. Well, an awful lot of them might actually be grounded in some kind of fact or some kind of truth. It's how the conspiracy evolves in the brain to mold and meld and take on factors of the imagination to where it becomes absurd, which is why it's reasonable to doubt, not deny, but to doubt the veracity of conspiracies. You always have to take into account that somewhere, somehow, there's some kind of grain of truth in a conspiracy. And you shouldn't discount conspiracies outright. You're being you're being as disingenuous by discounting conspiracies and conspiracy theories outright as the person who is completely, totally, and absolutely invested in the conspiracy. So the people who find out that this gentleman has died in a strange and unusual way because spring comes along and all the snow thaws and all that's left of the old man are bones and they're all scattered over the place. So animals had gotten a hold of the bones, and this might not be like technically accurate, but it progresses the narrative a little bit. This sense of an extreme uh, death scene, this place where this person had died. And the old man figured that the capacity for the people in town to start asking these questions, why did this man die this way? What happened? That they would start to think, well, maybe something else happened. Maybe he didn't die. Maybe he was killed. Well, why would he be killed? We don't know. But if there's a reason why he would be killed, then we should think about that because we could be next. And it starts to get the community to start asking questions that otherwise wouldn't be asked. So the old man was kind of going around the backside of the secret. So that would find itself being exposed through this natural expression of questioning. And so that's kind of the plot. And there's certain themes in the story, and one of the themes is a bunch of young men who have taken upon themselves to kind of make themselves brothers. They're not born to the same mother. They don't have the same father, but they're more than friends. They've over the course of their youth, as they've grown up, they've kind of enmeshed into kind of a family of their own as kind of a support group. That there was no secret between them. That they knew everything about each other. They were almost like a entity upon themselves when they were together. And one of the friends had left for greener pastures and is on his way back. And it's through his being reintegrated into the community and making connections with his brothers, so to speak, that the muscle behind the community asking these questions comes to light. They become kind of the motive force behind the questions. The community asks the questions, but the young men they act on those questions. And it's kind of one of the themes is the evolution of this idea that brotherhood isn't enforced specifically by the state. It's not enforced by society. It's one of those self-evident things that brothers find their own kinship. You create your own family. There's the technical, you get married, you have kids, you get a divorce, you get remarried, broken homes notwithstanding. But there's the family that you're born with, and then there's a family you create for yourself. And more often than not, that family you create for yourself is more important and longer in impact than the family you're born with. So there's a lot more in this story. It's a really long story. It's it's not counted on those 8 novels that are finished beginning, middle, and end, because this one is a weird one. There was a weird tangent that I'd gotten all the way through about 3/4 of the way into the novel, and then this weird tangent came up, and I started just diving into this weird tangent, and it's like, well, this is not going the direction I want the novel to go into. And so I took this tangent and I cut it out and put it into another story, and it's one of those other pieces of fiction. It's it's a piece of it's a complex, and I would like to get back into it, but there's so many other projects that need to be prioritized. I have several that are they just need one read through to clean up some odds and ends, and then dink around with the illustrations. So, but while I'm working on the carriers and the illustrations for that, the novel. Let's see, which one did I have planned out? So there's Bullet Out of Night and Gore Chain and Blood and Briar. There's some things I cut out of that one. It was back when I was insisting on trying to keep the fiction as concise as possible. Well, the story has a life of its own, so I have to go back into that. And the things that I cut out, I want to figure out how to weave them back into the story, the general narrative. It's a revenge story, and it's one of those revenge stories where the hero, so to speak, doesn't actually act out retribution on the villains, but that the villains undo themselves. They destroy themselves, and it's how the hero of the story manipulates the villains to where they have no choice but to destroy themselves. And so there is a video that I'm working on slowly. It's to explain why uh, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is the best of all the Mad Max movies so far, and to put out exactly why that movie puts all three of them together. That without that movie, the other two are just silly action movies. And it's the understanding of the hero, how the hero kind of becomes a an abstraction, and in doing so, kind of sacrifices his humanity in the act of being a hero. And the idea with and this theme is kind of evolved out of Blood and Briar, to where the hero is so consumed with making sure that what was wrong was turned right that he sacrifices himself to the idea and kind of destroys himself in the process of overcoming the villains. Anyway, that's with that. So, anyway, filming this on a GoPro. I got this cheap ass GoPro, and it doesn't have anything except a whole bunch of batteries. I got it propped up on a bottle of ink. And my antiques that I'm reading off of. I got my old 17-inch MacBook Pro running again, so I'm happy with that. But anyway, looks like the GoPro's battery is about ready to die. So, thank you for watching, and there will be updates on these writing projects as I go forward. Thank you.